Good evening, Vancouver, and welcome back to Canucks After Dark, where for the first time ever, we are going to go over a Canucks playoff game. We're going to go over a Canucks playoff win, and we're going to go over basically an entire Canucks series in which the Canucks are now pretty heavy favorites to move on to round two. Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself, but, 65% of the time, the team that wins game one wins the series, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. As always, joined by my co-host, Canuck Clay. How are you feeling today, Clay?
I, too, will not get ahead of ourselves, but I did hear a stat that when Nashville loses the first game of the series, they're 0-12. Again, not getting ahead of ourselves, but it's a good omen. Parker, I'm still pumped from last night's game, and I know we're gonna have no problem filling today's show. I'm sure everyone watching is pumped. So, yeah, I love this feeling. I love this feeling that we're excited to do a show. I love the feeling that Vancouver Canucks fans are fighting with Nashville Predators fans on X. I love the feeling that it's so good. This is what we live for. I know that's an old slogan, but truly.
It is. That is an old slogan, but it's a good one. Yeah. It's a good one. It's not. I think it's better than All Together, All In. I'll say it. But All Together, All In's not terrible.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
So yeah, obviously we are going to spend. Last week we said, the first game is not going to be till Tuesday, so Monday we're going to preview the whole series. But apparently, of course, the Predators and Canucks both complained. They said, no, we don't want to play Tuesday. let's get it going on Sunday. And for the Canucks, well worth that change. Because it was a beautiful day in Vancouver. The city was absolutely buzzing pre-game, during the game, and after the game. It was a perfect storm for the Vancouver Canucks last night. And a perfect way for them to win that game. So really our plan is we'll go through the game as we always do. Normally we take 30 minutes to go through 3 or 4 games. We're probably going to take 30 minutes to go through this game. And then I also want to go through decisions for game 2 that are going to have to be made. Things like Phil DiGiuseppe versus Vasily Podkolzin, and all, who's Elias Pettersson going to be playing with. There's so many interesting talking points where in game 58 of the season doesn't matter all that much. But when we're talking about, a game where now every single face-off can be the difference between winning or losing a playoff series, this is, it's time to really dive into all the minutia.
That is such a good point. Before I respond to that point, Coach Rob, thank you for your generosity, gifting 5 Canucks After Dark memberships, which is awesome. We appreciate the support. Just want to make sure that Parker, you got my message privately. We're trying something different just so we can set up the show. Yeah. So the other thing I was going to say is everything that you said, Parker, is so true. Just how we're going to be able to spend half an hour on one game as opposed to try and fit out 3 games. And we can. You're right. There's so much minutia we can talk about, and that things are getting more detailed, more minutiaized because even the media availability that the Canucks are posting with Rick Tocchet, they're like 21 minutes long now. Like not the 8 minutes or the 6 minutes. Today was an off day, an optional practice, not even a full practice. And he spoke for 21 minutes. And you want to talk about minutia? He's talking about like battles on the edge of the circle in a face-off dot. So we know that we're going to eat all of this up today and tonight, and just as you guys are. So let's get to it.
Let's get to it. And I'll start by saying both of us were lucky enough to be in the building last night.
Yeah.
I went to lunch with my friend who you've met, Travis.
We
had lunch. We had tickets for game 5 originally, but I'm not going to be able to make it. And we said, well, why don't we take that money? We're like, we could make it. I had a hockey game at 4:30 in Surrey, which would end at 5:45. And I was like, I can shower. I can get to the train. And we can go for it. And we did. And it was obviously a fantastic decision. So yeah, being in the building, just from the start of that game, when they start off with that like violin orchestra to sort of build things up. And then it goes into the Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart with like all the lights going and everything. And then the kid appears in the middle with the towel. And
yes.
As you can tell, my voice is gone. It was like I had goosebumps from the moment I walked in the door till the moment I got home, frankly.
Yeah.
So everything was perfect. But yeah, we'll get into the game and then we can get into all that other stuff afterwards. But
So everyone in the
very,
chat,
very fun
you
night.
know, yeah, you know, we're gonna be very detailed tonight. When Park and I were talking about even getting to the arena right now and talking about and you know what's really funny? I'm sure Parker, you don't mind sharing this. For some reason, I knew that I was going to the game. I knew that Parker was trying to figure out Game 5 because we had talked about the schedule and stuff. And then I didn't know that Parker was at the game last night, so I texted him like at 9:30. So I think we had just gone ahead 3-2. The crowd was going nuts, and I simply texted Parker, "Enjoying the game," and Parker responded, "This is unreal." And I felt like saying, "Yeah, unreal from your couch, ha ha ha." I'm at the game, and then he goes, "Tomorrow's show is going to be fun." I said, "It's going to be amazing." And then I went on X today, and I saw Parker posting footage from the game. And I wrote back and just said 4 words. I am an idiot. So I'm glad you were there. I'm glad I was there. And I don't know what time did you get in the arena? Because I have a quick point to make. What time did you get in the arena?
Oh, I probably got there at 6:35. Probably didn't get in until about 6:50. There was a good line to get in.
Yeah. So I was there by 5 to 6. They opened the doors at around that time. And Parker, I don't know if you noticed this. It was, even though it's the same amount of people, 18,900 or whatever, it was so much busier because no one goes to the washroom or to get food during the play, during the period anymore, because they don't want to miss anything. You're paying big money. So everyone would wait till the first intermission. Maybe it's because there's no Timbits hockey. It was like almost 60% of the people actually went to the concourse. It was so busy during the intermission. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did, and I was kind of shocked. I was like, how is it taking so much longer to get in? I've been to
Yes.
like they've sold out games this season that I've been to. It's the same amount of people. Why is it taking so long to get in? But yeah, just crowds were crazy, and yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't make it back to my seat for that Lindholm goal.
Me too. Same thing.
It was that busy in the concourse. So yeah, let's let's run through the game and then maybe
Yeah.
game experience stuff at the end. And
Perfect.
it was such a high that there's so much to jump between. But let's start off at the beginning. A pretty and Jacob, thanks for joining as a member.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
uh, very low event first period, and we sort of predicted that low from a like scoring chance perspective.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the way the Canucks came out, and really, that's exaggerating. The way JT Miller came out in that first period, like his first shift, he probably tried to run 3 guys, and he's just said, "No, I'm gonna make myself felt." That was a really fun way to start that game.
Yeah, they you know, when I looked at I don't want to jump too far ahead, but when I look at the hit total, I actually thought the Canucks hit more. It seemed like JT Miller, then Zadora followed his lead. It seemed like they're trying to hit everyone and really set the tone. The first 5 minutes of a playoff game, and yes, we're gonna talk about the experience and everything we felt, but first playoff game, home game in 9 years, it felt like they were really trying to set the tone. And then just 2 minutes in the game, Demko sets the tone by making an amazing save on an ex-Canuck. That save was
that was it was frankly an unbelievable save.
yeah.
It was like 4 minutes into the game. The cross ice pass that Demko is able to get across, and I was so excited when I got home. I was like, "Oh, now I get to hear like the calls. Like I want to hear Shorty's reaction to that save."
Yeah, yes,
And
yes.
just that stretch save, and then I heard the ESPN call that save, also fantastic. That is a game-winning save off the bat, right?
Mhm.
Nashville scores there, and suddenly it's a whole different ball game. You're playing from behind that early. I mean, you shouldn't be giving up that chance that early in the game, that 2-on-1 that gets through. But I mean, if we were worried about Demko's injury, I think he shook that off pretty quick.
And then I watched it. Well, I did my own show and I watched the replay. Full splits, like full splits,
Mhm.
the kind that you're a lot more athletic than I am and a lot younger. I would not get up if I tried that.
Oh no, that's to the stretcher. If that happens, that is crawling to the bench at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, a good yeah. Imagine if Bouvillier opens the scoring against us, but we're whatever. He didn't, thank goodness. But so what were your first impressions of before the first Nashville goal? That first period up until then, I don't think we dominated, but I thought we controlled. I really did.
Yeah, it was tight. There was no real scoring chances on either side other than that one,
Yeah.
right? Everyone was sort of playing positional, physical, trying not to make any mistakes. Like it felt there was there was some energy early, and JT Miller really contributed to that. But I think there was a lot of like, hey, we're not getting caught out of position. We're not letting anyone get past us. Even when we're, making a play in the, like the Canucks, I don't think either team really set up in the offensive zone very much in the first period. It was pretty
I
fast
agree.
paced.
Great point.
There wasn't a lot of like high danger chances, a lot of control. It was really just two teams sort of like just keeping everything to the outside as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really, really good point about the non-setups. Yeah, and it's funny, and I made this point when previewing this series, Parker. We especially with the way the Canucks started the season, we thought that they were the high octane offense, but no, Nashville's being the better offensive team in the second half of the season. But the Canucks have been a very underrated, really good defensive team, especially 5-on-5. So no surprise that they were lock it down once they got the lead, but I know we're going to get there. So, but great point. There was good fluidity, good transition. It was a fast first period, and the Canucks couldn't hit the net.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, shot attempts in the first period, 17-12, in favor of Vancouver. Of course, the shots ended up 6-4. So 17 shot attempts, 13 that went unblocked, I believe. Or sorry, I always forget what Fenwick is.
Yeah,
it's one of those. It takes away
yeah.
blocks or takes away misses. I don't remember which. But either way, the Canucks from a shot perspective, I mean, they had 4 shots in the first period. They were credited with 12 scoring chances per Matthew Satrick, and four high dangers, 1 expected goal. The Canucks were the better team in the first period, frankly, but it falls apart on a pretty soft goal late in the first period, right? We have that Jason Zucker, sort of off the face-off. Yossi plays it over to him, and it's just a sort of a seeing eye shot through a few bodies. Demko's sort of going the wrong way, and it sneaks through. Not ideal to be giving up the first goal.
Yeah, and by the way, Parker, people looking out for us, should I turn my volume down? I think it might be. You sound fine to me. I can hear you just fine.
Here, maybe that's better. For some reason, it wasn't turned up all the
awesome.
way.
I think everyone will be happy with that. You guys let us know in the chat if you can hear Parker better. Now, you got to be able to hear Parker's good analysis. So let us know that it sounds better.
Yeah, hopefully it's better.
Awesome. When I saw the first goal, Parker, the first Nashville goal, I too was confused why Zucker was so wide open. I don't know, BX, I don't know if you saw this. He did a really good breakdown of what happened. And I didn't even clue in that Pettersson got waved out. It was Lafferty, and Lafferty's not used to covering that guy. He's used to covering the other guy. That's why that's why there's basically no one on Zucker, because Zucker, the Pettersson had to come from the other side to check him.
Yeah. It was a broken play, right? And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Lafferty's not the one used to taking the faceoff there, so it's a bit confusing. Okay, who's actually playing center? Do you, after you take the faceoff, do you go right back to playing wing immediately? Do you wait till you like break the puck out? Also, Lafferty hasn't played a lot with Pettersson this year, right? Like there's all these little nuances. Again, that's why the playoffs are so interesting, right? You get these, normally during the middle of the season, it's like, it was a bit of a broken play and a guy had some open space and he scored, but it's the playoffs. So we're like, okay, it's because, he got waved on the face-off and then he didn't take the right guy. He didn't block the right lane. It's much more fun to get a lot more in depth on those. It's, everyone's under a microscope.
Yes, that's a really, really good point. So I know we're going to get to lineup later. We're going to talk about whether or not we like Lafferty on PD's wing. But I do know one thing that I do like is when people like Jacob become a member and then donate. So thank you, Jacob, for donating to Canucks After Dark. We really appreciate it. He's saying Myers was his favorite player. Hey, no problem there. We're going to get to that. He did have a solid. Yeah, he did have a solid game. So anything else happened after, the big hits, the goal for Nashville, the big
one
save?
thing I really liked with the crowd after that first goal, obviously it goes hush after the goal. Yeah. Before the puck was even dropped, the crowd was cheering again. The crowd sort of had this collective like, all right, hey, it happens. Let's get her back. And everyone sort of like tried to rally a little bit. I thought that was really cool because, again, in game 52 of the season against Columbus, everyone's going to be like, all right, I'm going to go grab a beer, right? It's a much different vibe. That's like, all right, time to lock in, boys. Like it's, one goal is not winning this game, right? We knew that. So that was a very, I thought that was really good of the crowd to not just let it die out and to try to get the momentum back.
Excellent point. And I'm gonna sound totally like a snob here, and I try not to, obviously on purpose. But I actually found this comment though that last night's crowd was a very mature, knowledgeable, hockey crowd. Like you didn't have guys yelling shoot every time the Canucks had the puck for 1 second, right? Like it kind of speaks to what you just talked about, Parker. Yes, people recognize, okay, we still have like 5-6 of the game to go. We're not gonna lose for sure. And yeah, they're chanting "Go Canucks, go!" and right away. So I just felt it was a very mature in a good way crowd last night. And I get it. You're spending a lot of money, right? So you expect
it was the perfect mix. You didn't have any like anyone not wearing a jersey. You know, there was no like suits. Like it wasn't like the classic like, oh, it's all the suits paying for the expensive seats. It's like, no, it's all fans and it's all people who are like devoted, because at that point that's the money you're spending.
Great point.
So that was great.
Yeah.
So
good points.
We go to the intermission. Was there any? I mean, I left my seats immediately at the end of the period because again, that's the only time I'm going to get up. Normally, I'd be like, all right, I'll commercial break in the second period. I'll run to get a drink or whatever. But here, it's like, I don't want to miss anything. So we go to the concourse. We met up with some friends, and then on the way back to the seat, we were like, hey, there's no line here. Let's grab a quick beer, and then we'll go back to our seats. And so we get our beers before the period starts, and then we're walking to our line, and they've said no, you can't come in yet. They've just dropped the puck.
Yep.
But luckily, the line was long enough that we were still at the concourse, so we could see the TV. And then, so everyone is just crowded around the TV in the concourse, and it's just an echo chamber in there. So Lindholm just comes in on the rush, pretty. This is like a scouted goal, right? They sort of knew Saros's blocker was the weak side. You saw him picking on it all night. And Lindholm just comes in, takes the, half screen shot on the 1-on-1. And it just, gets under the blocker, ticks off the pad and gets through. And that concourse, again, like you said, like 60% of the people got out of their seats. So there's probably still like 30% of the crowd in the concourse trying to get back in. And it went ballistic in the concourse with that goal.
Parker, I'll let you actually break down the goal, but two things that you said there that struck a nerve with me in a good way. Like I agree with you so much. Number one is I thought I would do smart and do the late intermission washroom, and it was still busy. So the worst is to be like the third person in line trying to get your seats, because if you're in the first two rows, you can actually watch the jumbotron or look actually down. If you're like the third or fourth person, you can't look, or
you're just on the stairs.
Yes. So Carol, we'll get to your donation in a second. Thank you. So basically, I was in the same place you were, far enough down where I could see the TV. So I'm with you about how busy it was. Then when I got to my season ticket partner Mike, he basically said the exact same thing. He said, wow, there's like a third, 30%, a third of the people not even in the seats yet. Because he said that the start of the second period was really quiet. Like, it's not like they're booing or nervous. Just there's no one there to cheer. A third of the people were not even in their seats yet when Lindholm scored.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at the goal, I'll start at the beginning of the highlight. Obviously, we can't show it for copyright reasons, but puck gets played deep into the Canucks zone, essentially, and everyone just has that early change, 40 seconds into the period. Ian Cole does a great job to take the body on one guy. Zadorov picks up the puck. Just a clean breakout for the Canucks, right? They get up to Joshua, they play it across to some open space. Lindholm skates onto it. And it's a nothing play, right? This is a play that happens 12 times a game that maybe gets scored on once every 5 games. Like it's really a nothing play, but it really speaks to getting pucks on net, especially a goalie who's only felt 4 shots in the first period, right? And then you got the whole intermission, right? Maybe there's a little bit of rust there, and if you know the blocker side's a little shaky. So he just comes in, and he's got Joshua with him, but it's 2-on-2. I mean, if I'm looking at the Preds D, I maybe want that gap to be closed a little bit, especially on a guy like Lindholm, who's not going to like burn you to the outside very often. Right. I'm not sure who that D-man is, but he gave Lindholm a little bit extra space, enough space to take the shot and not have a stick in the lane through the defender's legs. And it's a save Saros definitely wants to be made. But just the pop of the crowd on that first one, even half the crowd in the seats. The concourse was going crazy.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Carol, for the 10 gifts of membership. That is awesome. Appreciate all the generosity of everyone in the chat. You guys are in a good mood, just like we are. So thanks once again, Carol. That goal wasn't deflected, right? Off of the defenseman, straight in?
It was straight in. It just hit Saros in sort of the top of the pad, like under the arm, top of the pad. It just popped over sort of threw up and stayed in.
By the way, did you see Jake? I think Jacob's from out of town. I saw Edmonton. Yet he admitted he's feeling really generous tonight. We're not complaining. So Jacob, thank you very much for the donation. And yes, we're going to talk about Dakota Joshua because every point he gets, Parker, we should have a tally of what his new contract, how much it adds.
Throw another 100K on the pile at this point. I mean, yeah, he was fantastic. And he gets credit for the assist on that one, right? His first of 3 points on the night. And it's you look at it, it's like, it's a nothing assist, but he gets the puck on the wall. There's a little pressure coming to him. There's a guy right on him and he makes the pass to open space. It's a simple play. It's a play that some people mess up. And obviously it worked out. So, Canucks answer early in the second. Then the Canucks get in some penalty trouble later in the second
penalty brigade.
period.
Yes.
Yeah. And this was tough. So Teddy Bluger gets the interference call.
Yeah.
I don't remember what was the exact.
He actually hooked or interfered with someone who then hit Demko. It wasn't like he run him over, but he did make contact with Demko. Yeah.
Okay. So Bluger gets called for interference.
Yeah.
With about 10-15 to go in the second period. And then, the Preds, about a minute into that power play, if I've got my numbers correct, do capitalize. This is it's not like the nicest goal you've ever seen, right? I mean, it's a good shot, but the Preds just come in on the power play. The Canucks did a good job killing the first 50 seconds or so, and you think one more clear second unit's coming out probably, and you've gotten most of the way there.
Yep.
And it's sort of a broken play as Nashville enters the zone, right? Like there's a bit of a crowd in the middle. It looks like I'm not sure who 14, I forget all their names, but 14 for Nashville sort of fumbles the puck over the blue line, and they end up chipping it to the side, and that guy misses, so Soucy goes to pressure him. Forsberg's able to just win the puck back to the point. They got two guys on the right point at the same time. Like it's a mess. It's a completely broken play on Nashville's side. The Canucks are in their box. The Canucks get really aggressive at this point in the power play, and again, I'm sure they're probably thinking, hey, we just get the puck, we get it out, especially with Nashville scrambling a little bit. We get it out, and then the power play's mostly over because PP2's coming over the boards. But eventually the Canucks sort of all end up on the left side of the ice, and Ryan O'Reilly is all by himself on the Predators' left side of the ice, which is obviously inverted. So he gets that pass over. He has a lot of time. Myers sort of goes for the pass blocking route, which if you look at I don't know if I can give you a screen grab here, but he is blocking the passing lane perfectly. His stick is perfectly in the lane with the skate blade there. That backdoor pass that you see the Canucks use all the time, right? JT Miller fires it to Brock Besser back there all the time. That works. He's set up perfectly, but instead Ryan O'Reilly absolutely rips it top corner. Which very similar to what JT Miller would do, and finds that corner and again takes the crowd basically right out of it.
Great points. And I want to bring up a couple points about that goal as well. Jay said it was Yossi that was trying to block Lindholm's shot. Thank you, Jay. And by the way, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Sarah left a really funny comment. Hey, did you guys see the video of a person climbing the statue? Yeah, we saw it. We're going to have something to say about that a little bit later. So, two things about this goal. You're right about Tyler Myers blocking, because what I did notice, Parker, last night, and I'm not sure if I guess I like it mostly if it works. I felt that their penalty kill diamond was really tight last night. So they were making sure that nothing went cross seam. But when you do that, when you're so tight, you leave a lot of room, right, on the flanks. And that's why I thought that O'Reilly had uncharacteristically a lot of time to get that shot off. And then the other thing is Evangelista swipes at it to try and deflect it as Demko's trying to make the save. And he makes contact with Demko's glove as the puck basically is right there too. Too inconclusive from the replay to challenge it, because you challenge that and you lose, the goal counts, and then you're on the penalty kill once again. They deemed it not conclusive enough. Rick Tocchet made a point of saying that in the post game. So I'm not sure if you saw Demko waving, like kind of.
Yeah, we saw that immediately. That was the first thing we noticed, is right when that puck went in, because that was the side that we were sitting on. We immediately saw him like tapping the bottom of his glove with his stick. As if a stick hit the bottom of his glove. He's immediately like to the ref and to the bench. He's like, guy, he got my glove. He got my glove. Yeah. And I'm looking at that. I'm like immediately, I believe you. I'm like, Demko makes that save every time. He must have been interfered with. And then, they show the replay, and it's super clear that, the toe of Evangelista's stick hits basically the the blocker portion of the glove, right? The wrist
Yep.
pad. And I'm like, that is so obviously goalie interference, so long as it happens a millisecond before the puck gets past the glove.
Correct.
That's what you need. And so, and that's when video coach is on the clock, right? You're like, you got the 30 seconds or whatever to challenge. And you now have to get all the angles of, okay, one, did the glove hit did the stick hit the glove? Yes. Okay. Now we have to figure out when it happened, which I'm not sure what camera angle you could use to make that conclusive. Because if you're on the overhead, you probably don't see when the stick hits the glove, but you do see when the puck goes past. You're on the side one, you see when the stick hits the glove, but you can't see how far the puck is. Like there's no way in that time, I think, to do it. And yeah, Rick Tocchet said, he's like, I think he was basically like, he's like, you better be sure that I'm not challenging this. Like,
with an F word in there. Yeah.
Because he clearly wanted to, right? But that would have been a bit of an emotional challenge, I think. But it really puts you in a hole, right? Your power play just let one through.
Yes.
You're really going to put them right back on the power play with a 1-goal lead. They score again, and now you're really fighting an uphill battle when you could also look at it and like, hey, boys, we've been down 2-1 a lot of times before, and we still have 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, great point. And yes, Helen, it is Dylan Crawford who is our video coach. Exactly. You know what's crazy, Parker? I love your point about where's my puck? I was going to use it for my demonstration, but I don't think we need a full puck to do this. Yeah, but I love your comment about the angle, because the best angle I saw, he makes kind of contact when the puck is here. So how can you tell if it's past the plane of his glove? Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. If the call on the ice was no goal, then like I don't even know if Nashville challenges it the other way. Like I just don't think you get an angle at any point that would tell you the answer. At least not in that time. I'm sure you could, see, like find a 360, sort of like CGI a few angles together and time sync them and figure it out. But that's not happening. If it's that tight, it probably shouldn't be challengeable, I think is fair.
I agree.
So the Canucks, down for the second time. They've tied it once, but honestly, the rest of the second period, Canucks turned it on a little bit. They started to actually have some shifts in the offensive zone where they had some control. But it was again a pretty tight period, right? Shots were, what were the shots in the second? 10-6 in favor of the Canucks. High danger chances were credited 3-0 for the Canucks, but still only 3. Like it's pretty low event from that perspective. Canucks then get 2 more penalties basically right away, right? Soucy gets that holding penalty where did he go like sort of beside him with the hand?
This is the one I didn't like. And they both happened in front of his funny Parker. All 3 penalties were right on both our sides of the rink. That was the one where I thought that Novak dove, like he jumped before Soucy even made contact. I have no problem with the Hronek holding the stick one, because I think that was evident. Yeah, but this one I didn't like for sure. Yeah,
it was a bad penalty to take. I mean, it's one of those ones like again, I don't know if that's a great call, but again, like can't get yourself in the situation for that call to be made in the playoffs. But for playoff hockey, that one felt a little bit weak. But yeah, that Hronek one, I blame entirely on Phil Hronek. Like you can't just grab the guy's stick for that long. You can't do it. The ref isn't going to see it 60% of the time,
right?
But the 40% of the time that he does, that call will get made. So
yes.
Canucks penalty kill absolutely turned it on though. From that point, they were actually really good. Like I said, no high danger chances in all situations in the second period with 3 power plays, 5 minutes of power play time, and 0 credited high danger chances. So that's a pretty good, a pretty good blessing of the penalty kill.
Such a good point, Parker, because if the Canucks have enough firepower, even though it wasn't really firing last night until the third, where you're down 3-1. If you give up another power play goal, it's not insurmountable, but it's pretty tough in the playoffs, especially for a Nashville team who will be so excited to be up 2 goals going in the third period away in game 1. But yeah, so you're right. Those kills were massive. They're absolutely massive. Did you find, by the way, that Nashville was really good at batting the puck down when we tried to get it out? Like I can remember 3 times where you thought they cleared.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Voice is gone.
You're right.
I remember there was one Forsberg one, I think, and one Yossi one that they just knocked it straight down. Like I remember, like, because the Canucks got the puck, and I was like ready
So
to
much
cheer for the
space.
penalty kill. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Are you kidding me?" Like, I was just so frustrated. Like, what? Like, how does that not get through? So that was
What's the width of the rink? 80, 90 feet, 60?
that way. I think it's 80. Yeah,
Okay.
I know it's 200 long. I don't know the width.
Right. So whatever, you have 75 or 80 feet. One guy can cover
85.
maybe, yeah, okay, 85. One guy can cover maybe 10 feet if he's really like nimble. You got 75 other feet. Like,
Although usually taking an 80-mile-an-hour wrist shot, 5 feet away from a guy should get through a lot of the time.
fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you.
So second intermission, again, go do the tour of the concourse, grab a snack, grab a drink, doing the whole rounds. Vibes are still pretty good in the rink. There's a lot of people who are like no one was really like, oh man, they're blowing it. It was all like they're still in it. One goal, it's all it takes. Very optimistic group, I think, which was really nice to see. Anything else before the third period you wanted to talk about?
No, I was able to see some people in the second period as well, and I agree with you. There was maybe because you don't want to think anything else, but yeah, I felt a quiet confidence among the Canucks fan base. Yeah,
it was, for me, it was a concern. I was like, I just don't want them to sputter out. Like, if they just lose this game 2-1 and that's how it ends, I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Which obviously didn't happen.
Correct.
So third period, Canucks get a power play early in the third. That cross check on Besser. I don't really remember this power play. Did they do anything with it? Like, were they dangerous at all? I guess I can look at the power play stats. So four shot attempts, one shot on goal. 1/6 of an expected goal for. So clearly not that dangerous. On that power play. If I remember correctly, they were passing the puck around pretty much, but they didn't get many looks.
I keep thinking about I remember the first power play. I think both power plays were on our side, if I'm not mistaken. I remember the first one; they had some good chances, but they kept missing the net. PD put that glorious chance. I don't know if that was on the power play from the slot.
Yeah, the little toe drag that he had, and then the shot. Yeah, and then he missed the net.
Yeah. Okay, but regardless, the third period. I can't remember this power play, and it was so early. That would be a perfect strike to start off, just like the early goal in the second period by Lindholm.
Yeah, and then PDG takes that tripping penalty on O'Reilly about 5 minutes in. That was frustrating. But again, Canucks penalty kill, fantastic there. Or they allow one shot, only two shot attempts on that power play. So Canucks are they're still playing their game. They know they have a lot of time, and then they finally break through. Yeah, and it is. I'm just gonna pull up the highlight here. So Canucks essentially coming on the rush. Besser fires high, which, theme of the night. Everyone's missing the net, which was frustrating. Hronik with a good pinch, plays it in deep to Besser. Besser just finds some space and plays it back to Hughes, it's so funny watching Hughes receive this pass. His skates are outside of the blue line. Like, he's just so good on his skates that he's just walking outside of the line with the puck. And there is 5 bodies in front of the net in a line, essentially. And Quinn Hughes has been so good at this all year, just finding a way to get the puck through. So he throws it on net. It ends up getting tipped by Pius Suter. No one knew that at the time. No one cared at the time. Pius Suter didn't care at the time. He didn't lead the charge to the bench. Even Shorthouse on the commentary was like, I don't think, or maybe it was Tomlinson, but he was like, I don't think he wanted to tell the captain
that was pretty
that
funny.
It was his goal. So Hughes just fires it through. It gets a little piece from Suter, knocking it down a touch. Glove side gets through, and the game is tied just like that.
Yeah, and that was Parker. That was a really neat goal, one we've seen a lot this season. And actually, at the time, not when the goal happened live, but when we saw the replay, Mike and I, we said we thought Miller tipped it because Suter was the first line and Miller was the second line. So we definitely saw it got tipped. It got tipped downward, but we thought it was Miller. And then so when they tried to announce Hughes as the goal scorer, we'll say why that didn't get out fully. We thought we were surprised that it was Hughes and not Miller. And it's funny that you mentioned also that you heard Shorty's call. So did you come home and watch the highlights or watch the entire game? What did you do?
Oh yeah, no, I got home. Well, after the game, we went to the Shark Club for a pint, and then took the train home. Took an Uber from the train home, and then I literally walked in the house immediately highlights.
Yeah,
I was
awesome.
like, yeah, let's relive this one.
Awesome.
And I love, and I was actually thinking about it on the train. I'm like, I'm excited just to hear. I want to hear all the calls. I want to hear the Shorty call. I want to hear the Bachelor call. I want to hear the
Yeah.
ESPN call. I just want to hear, I want to see what the crowd sounded like on TV. Like I was just excited to sort of, relive it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that shot just sneaks through, and that building erupted at that moment.
Yes.
Like it was crazy in there. I just remember looking around and I was like, this is sweet. It was absolutely electric.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about going for a drink afterwards. That's another reason why Parker and I can't commit to game over Vancouver, and we wish Kaya, especially starting off, all the luck in the world. And I think she had a decent crowd last night, which is great. But there's no way that this is kind of bad. But I think Parker and I, our priority is to be at games or be with people watching games, and it just doesn't allow for a quick turnaround to be streaming like 10 minutes after the game ends. Yeah. So
Well, yeah, for us, we ran into some friends second intermission that just happened to be at the game, and we were like, all right, if the boys come back, we'll go for a drink. And that was sort of our agreement that we got held to.
Exactly. So I alluded to the fact that that we did not hear Al Murdoch's full goal announcement, because why, Parker?
Yeah, so the Canucks win the faceoff right away. I think Nashville's a little concussed from the noise, like just how quickly that puck got through and how crazy the crowd went. And Rick Tocchet immediately goes to his line. He goes to Joshua and Garland. They get the puck in deep. Elias Lindholm, for all the troubles we've had with him during the regular season and the injury and all this stuff, and was the trade worth it? Yada yada yada. Obviously has the goal in the second period, but what does he do? He goes in, puck's going to the corner, and he takes the body. Doesn't focus on the puck at all. He knows he's out there with Joshua and Garland. He knows that one of them is going to come support. So he takes the body. Connor Garland is right there, first to the puck. Once Lindholm takes out his man, Garland just digs it free, turns, and there is one defender for the Predators between, and I think it's a forward, between Garland and Dakota Joshua, who is at the hash marks in front of the net. Garland pulls it to the forehand, slides it between the legs of the Predators player, who almost gets a piece of it. Like, he's got his stick like this, and it somehow finds a way through. And Dakota Joshua with the toe drag, and then the wherewithal. Again, the scouting. They said blocker side on Saros, because normally you'd see a guy toe drag, but try to pull to the backhand if possible and go that side, because that's where your momentum's taking you. But he goes against the grain with the shot, puts it far side, and that is the loudest building I have ever been in at that moment. It was loud for that Hughes Suter goal, but everyone was still celebrating the first goal. No one, at least in the upper bowl, no one had sat down yet. Everyone was still high-fiving and fired up. And then we sort of looked back and saw this happen, and there was just an extra level on the crowd at that point. That was the coolest, probably the coolest goal I've been in the building for.
Parker, I can't say it any better. I can just add to what you said. By the way, Spartan, this is pretty funny. Dak took down the Predators like Chris Hansen, who's the host of that popular show To Catch a Predator. Very good, Spartan. That is that. Yeah, I should give you $2. That was pretty funny. So thank you very much for the donation. Okay, so Parker, you nailed this so well. Lindholm doesn't get it credited for an assist, but separates Lazon from the puck.
That's one of those things they got to change how the assist rule works. like sure, he didn't touch it and didn't pass it there. That's an assist all day.
Garland knows that his best buddy Joshua is going in the front of the net. Yes, he puts it through. Is it Carrier? Carrier? How do you say that?
Carrier.
Defense's last name. Carrier. Puts it through Carrier. You're right. Backward. Like, it was amazing. Like, through his legs. And then I love your point. And Joshua kind of downplayed it because that's just kind of the way he is. But what do you think that these players, as skilled as they are and as quick as the game goes, do you think he knew exactly what he was doing, pulling Saros to Saros's left, Joshua's right, because he knew he was going to go back the other way? Do you think he had enough time to think that?
He's probably like he's a skilled player. I'm sure he's thinking on that toe drag. He's like the puck was far away from him. Like he's trying to pull it towards himself, and he's just trying to pick a corner basically. And maybe he's just more comfortable shooting that side. I don't think he's basing it on like, is Saros cheating one way or the other? It happened too fast for that. I mean, I think he could have shot it 20 inches off the ice glove side and probably still scored. Because if you look at where Saros is in the net when he takes that shot, he is deep in the pit, right? He is, he's the back of his skate blades are on the goal line. So there's a lot of room to shoot at even from that tight. Like he probably could have tried a quick shot, 5-hole, 4 inches off the ice. He could have gone low glove side. Instead, he goes blocker. I don't think that was even the most open area, but Saros is not expecting that, right? It's a quick bang bang play. You just got scored on. Like you only faced 16 shots. Like there hasn't been a lot of scoring chances. You're not expecting another one to come that quickly. So I don't think Joshua's thinking like, okay, I'm always shooting blocker. I think he's like, get the puck, pull it towards me, and just get it on net.
Yes, I do agree with you, Parker, that since 2011, truly, that is the loudest I've heard that building when that goal went in, because we were already cheering, right? Waving our flags. You know what's so funny? By the way, I have my towel. You can't zoom out. Can you just show my screen just for like a second? I want to show everyone how we're exactly the same.
I don't know how to make it just.
How do I show me? Okay, there. That's good. Okay, you can put it back now. That's fine. So we both did the exact same thing. We both have our towel on our on our computer monitor or whatever. Anyways, I get distracted very easily. We were already cheering what we thought was the Quinn Hughes goal, now the Suter goal. So already the crowd was amped up. And basically, Murdoch says, you can hear him. It's basically with his first goal of the playoffs, scored by number 43, Quinn, and then, and then it gets amplified even more. And you're right. We were already in the middle of high-fiving people, strangers, hugging, and then they score. And it wasn't just that it was a Joshua goal. It wasn't just that it was so beautiful. It was just the context. 2 goals in 12 seconds. You felt like that we had a good chance to win the game because of what just happened. And you're shouting at Saros. You're watching him sip his water. Like there's so many things going on. But I agree with you. I say the pregame, especially with the kid and you two, as an old man, I was very sentimental. I almost started crying. I will admit that.
I was there too.
Yeah, but it was loud. But this was another level after that goal.
Yeah. It was just cumulative. Like it just popped the second that puck went in, because I don't think anyone expected it. Like,
that's the thing.
Like we just took this game. Like we just stole it. That was that went absolutely crazy.
Wow.
It was that was the best crowd that we've seen in a while. And that, like, it was a perfect storm, right? Being down all game, right? Not having the lead, the 9 years of buildup, yada yada yada, and then the 2 quick goals. It was a perfect storm.
Yep. Wow. And then all we had to do was hold on for 10 minutes.
And I even said it. I said it to my buddy. I was like, hey, you know what? This is 11 minutes. How many times has this team done this year? How many times? Like, all right, 1 goal lead to hold for a period. It's a cakewalk for this team. Of course, I'm saying that trembling inside.
And Jarhead, I think, sums up the sentiments of all of us. 9 years of built up energy right there.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. It was a great goal. The crowd was fantastic. And then, the Canucks go into shutdown mode, and they played the shutdown mode pretty well, perfectly. They keep everything to the outside. Nashville only ends up with 8 shots in the entire third period. And again, they're trailing. Like, score effects, you'd expect the entire, essentially, second half of the period to just be, all in the Canucks zone. The Canucks played it well. They kept everything outside. They stayed out of the penalty box at that point. Like, they didn't make any mistakes. Demko made a few good saves. It was just hanging on till the end. Saros gets pulled with a couple minutes left. And man, the vibe in there of just like the nervousness, like that playoff sports nervousness was so fun, because I'm literally, every single thing that happens, I'm looking at the clock. Like, 7 more minutes. All right. And then I'm like, 6:20. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. And then the next time I looked at it, was like 4 minutes. Like, okay, well, we got this now. And then Saros comes out. Nashville gets some pressure on. And then the Canucks breakout, like I said, was so good all night. And then with the net empty, a really good play behind the net by Susie. He feels a guy coming. He just tries to fire it out of there. And then how about, who was that made that play? It was Joshua who made the initial play, right? A guy sort of slides in to keep the puck in the zone with Joshua on him, which allows it to come down low. It is Miller who passes it up to Bluger, sort of up the middle. And good on Bluger for taking that pass
I
because it
agree.
was a pretty
I agree.
hard pass
It was
behind
very
him.
hard pass.
And if it gets past him, it's on the tape of the defenseman. He then gets it to Joshua, and I fully expect most players to try to, I mean, though Joshua's fairly flat-footed here, he's got a stride or two. I fully expect them to get to the red line before taking that shot. But Joshua is feeling it, obviously, and he says, I can end it right now. And I think that's also a bit of confidence in how well the team is defending. Like, hey, we can handle an icing. If this misses, we're probably okay. But he just fires it from the blue line between two guys who probably should have had a better chance of blocking it. That neither of them like laid out or anything. Goes between them, and that's the ball game.
Excellent point, Parker, about him. He shot it from our blue line as opposed to gaining the line, and maybe, just maybe, he if you're a Nashville defenseman, you're probably thinking he's going to gain the red line too. So I think you make a great point. I think that's a really smart play by Joshua. The Predators defenseman might not be expecting it; they should have, and then he puts it in. By the way, before we talk about the euphoria of a couple of things, real quick. Steven, it sounds like he's watching from Phoenix. So thank you, Steven. Spartan, use a monthly membership message. Thank you, Spartan, member for 6 months. And Justin, $5 donation. Hype for game 2 for those going tomorrow. The party starts at 4:30 and doors open early at 5:30. Oh, so they bumped everything up by half an hour. Interesting. Thank you, Justin.
On how long it took to get everyone in. I think that's smart to open it a little bit earlier because if you got there at 6, you probably got in pretty quick, but I got there at 6:30 and I didn't get in, and I went to the upper bowl entrance, which is usually quicker. Like up the stairs there, and it still took a good 15 minutes to get in, and we kind of like picked the right line even. Like if we had picked the wrong line, it would have been another 5-10 minutes. So
for sure.
It would they could use the extra 30 minutes for sure.
Thank you, Justin, for the scoop and the donation. All right, it is 10:45. We knew that this was going to happen because we just went 45 minutes straight on one game. We could preview, basically, when we say preview, the only thing is basically, do you anticipate any lineup changes? Let's talk about that for a couple of minutes before we get to the people. Do you anticipate any changes?
I don't. I don't know if that's so here's the thing, right? Like if we go, if we're focused on lineup changes, who had the worst night out of the Canucks, right? Which guys would just didn't play that great? Phil DiGiuseppe stands out to me. The low minute man, 8:45, takes the bad penalty. I don't think he played that great anyways in that role. And, I was listening to Halford Bruff this morning. They sort of went into, why Tocchet would have gone the Phil DiGiuseppe route instead of the Vasily Podkolzin route. Just, more of a veteran presence. Maybe the emotions get to a little bit less. But frankly, I don't think he played that great. And I would rather have Podkolzin in that role than Phil DiGiuseppe. However, Canucks won game 1. Nothing's changing.
I agree with you as much as I think you and I both. And I think we will see Podkolzin later in the series, Parker, unless we sweep, which is fine. But I don't. How do you change this lineup? We obviously don't have to talk about the top 9 or whatever, but even I don't know. You bring PDG out. Remind me of that penalty. What was it again that he took?
It was a trip. I think, if I remember correctly, it was a trip on O'Reilly 5 minutes into the third.
Okay, so 2 hits in 9 minutes of ice time. Not brutal.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake that led to a scoring chance. I remember I tweeted out in the first period. I said PDG's not playing game 2.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't remember the context exactly of that. There's a lot of things that happened in that game, but I know I was unhappy.
Yeah. Here's another thing to point out as we're talking about lines, and Lafferty only gets 9 minutes. And remember, he started on the second line. So I noticed 2 things. I'm sure you noticed this too. Near the end of a period, offensive zone face-off, he went Hughes Hronek Lotto line. He just loaded up to try and create something. So obviously that means changing some of the lines. Obviously, Lindholm's line played a lot because they were the shutdown line against O'Reilly. They did awesome. All those guys were -3.
Fantastic.
Which is great. So then, but I did notice once in a while too, he would put Mikheyev back with Höglander and PD, the old second line, so to speak. So I'm not sure I know what they're trying to do with Lafferty, and he did have 3 hits. They want him to get in, forecheck, create space, get the puck to PD. But even, I'm not sure you heard it today, Parker Tocchet said that of all the lines, that second line, he didn't think they were connected, and he didn't think that they were effective enough on the forecheck.
I don't think Lafferty had the jump last night.
Yeah.
You know, at the beginning of the season when he was like playing his best hockey probably of his career, like he had that extra gear of just, you know, crashing and banging down low, right? He was going in, winning battles, driving the net. Um, that just wasn't really there. And again, it's a line of a couple guys who haven't played together.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw that and putting Mikheyev on the fourth line there with Phil Giuseppe and with Teddy Bluger, you know, I wasn't so sure on that. And again, I sort of see where Tocchet's coming from. You know, you're saying, hey, Pettersson, carry these guys, you know, and the way Hoagland's been playing has been great. But just going through the lines, like the Lindholm, Joshua and Garland line was the best line by far. Absolutely took over the game when they were on the ice, and they will absolutely stay together, and they should, and they'll play. You know, 18 minutes. They played a third line that played 18 minutes last night, right? Like that's your second line. They, you know, Lindholm played as much as Pettersson did, basically. So that line will stay together. And of course, Miller, Besser, and Suter were also very good last night together. So they will not split up. But yeah, those other six is where it gets a little bit interesting because they're going to keep Pettersson and Höglander together. I think you have to put Mikheyev there, frankly. I know he's been struggling to produce, of course, but he just has more skill than Lafferty. He's got that speed when he needs it sometimes. I just think he's just more of a threat than Sam Lafferty is. And then that puts you down with Bluger and DiGiuseppe and Lafferty, which I think is a pretty good fourth line. Especially if, Lafferty played 8:58 last night. PDG played 8:45. And Bluger played 13 minutes, but he had some PK time in there, of course. So yeah, they basically made those changes. You know, we saw Mikheyev a little bit with Pettersson and Höglander last night. We saw a bunch of things getting mixed up. We saw the Lotto line, like you said, in those late moments where you can play guys an extra couple minutes. I just think that's the one change you're going to see. I don't think Lafferty's starting game 2 alongside Pettersson and Höglander.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so we both agree, likely no changes in personnel. There may be changes in the way they line up. And when we say that, that's probably the only change is swapping Mikheyev and Lafferty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, like most of the guys played very, very good last night. Like most of the team, like there's a few names I can pick out, and really it's Lafferty, it's PDG, maybe Mikheyev, like he was pretty invisible, but that's really it up front. On the defensive side, Nikita Zadorov is so sick. He was a wrecking ball out there. Yeah. He had a couple plays with the puck that were just like just those flashes that we see. He led the defenseman in shots. He had 3 shots on goal. He had 5 hits last night. He had the 1 assist.
Awesome.
You know, we know what the lows can be for Nikita Zadorov, of course. That's why he's a bit of a controversial player. But he was absolutely like that is the kind of guy in the playoffs that is going to be dangerous.
Do you remember that time? It was in the third period, Parker, because I remember it was on the other end from where you and I were, where he rushed it in, and then he stayed low, like he stayed in the bottom left, and we're like, okay, you can get back to your point anytime now, and he stayed there for the entire offensive shift.
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He was feeling himself, man. I loved it. He was great.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. Yeah, he took it he took it end to end. Like there was a couple plays where he just like deked out a guy in his own zone as the last man back. And I'm like, I hate that you're doing this, but it works. Yeah. So, you know, I guess when you can hold the puck 13 feet away from you, maybe that gives you an edge. Honestly, all the defensemen were great. Ian Cole. Myers. Ian Cole, zeros across the board on the stat sheet. Yeah. Thought he played good. You know, it was sort of steady veteran presence. Didn't really make any mistakes out there. Tyler Myers, like you said, and like we said in the chat, that was one of his best games in a Canucks uniform. I think he was stable. You know, he's obviously out there for that O'Reilly goal on the power play. But like I said, like he played the lane perfectly, and he gave Demko the shot. I don't think he really made any mistakes there.
Yeah, and I think you know, I hear what you're saying, Han Solo, but Myers was also credited with 5 hits, just like Zadorov was. And I remember a couple of them. Like, one of them wasn't that behind the net. Didn't he flatten someone?
I think so.
Anyway.
No, he had some good hits. He played well.
For sure.
Hronik was fine. Susie was fine. Hughes was obviously fantastic, as he always is. And what I love, like looking at the time on ice, Quinn Hughes played 22 minutes in game one.
Yeah.
I went into that game like Quinn Hughes is playing 28 minutes tonight, and he will play
Yep.
28 minutes every single night. Tocchet didn't go that way, right? He just sort of kept to like, and it worries me. It gives me a little bit of Willie D flashbacks of rolling everybody. But the way the D was playing, like, yeah, you can play Myers and Cole and Zadorov and Hronik all 19 minutes, and then he played Susie a little bit less, and Hughes a little bit more. The defense was great
compared to Yossi, who played 27. That's going to add up over.
It will for sure.
I mean, yeah. By the way, Spartan, thank you for another donation. PD needs to stop playing Helldivers. I'm not cool. Is that a video game?
It's just a game. Yeah.
Okay, just a game.
Yeah, Pettersson. All season, I said, I'm not that concerned about Pettersson. He's got the skill that he can turn it on when he needs to. Last night would have been a time maybe to do that. He had the one good chance. Toe drag, missed the net. Pretty invisible out there in comparison. Like, especially you compare him to what JT Miller was doing, and just like the effort level and the spark that he provided. Pettersson just didn't have that last night.
2 shots, 2 hits, 54% in the faceoff circle. So yeah, relatively pedestrian game for him. Yeah.
You want to see him take over, right?
Yeah.
Like it, and I don't know if there's an injury. I don't know what's going on, but like, when JT Miller was that much better than him, like there's something that he needs to take that step for sure.
Irvin mentioned this earlier. Elias pedestrian.
It's tough, but we'll take it.
Did you want to show your little clip before we?
Yeah. I guess after the game. So I was always growing up. We were always the like, all right, hey, if it's like a 3-goal game and there's like 4 minutes left, we're beating the traffic. That was sort of my situation growing up. Which, hey, I got to go to games. I'm not going to complain. But as this one was getting towards the end with like 3 minutes left, I was sitting there. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. like I'm not going to try to get on the first train home or anything like that. Like I got nowhere to be. Like I work tomorrow, but if I get home by 1, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so, we stick around for the 3 stars, and a lot of the crowd I'd say there's probably still like 10,000 people in the stadium when 3 stars were going and that whole thing. And then so eventually, game's over. All right, use the washroom, meet everybody up who we're going to go for a drink with, probably 15 minutes after the game before we're even leaving the rink. And then of course we get out there and we go at the exit sort of by the exit that we went in, right? The one at the top of the big staircase, come down the staircase, and we see that there's just 1,000, 2,000 people just out in front between the Costco and between Rogers Arena, just all congregating around the Roger Nielsen statue. And nothing's really going on at the statue. Like, it's just a bunch of people like cheering, and there's cars like in the distance honking, and it's great. And then as we're walking down, and we get down, and we're just like, let's just chill here for a little bit with everybody. We see these guys trying so hard to get the towel on the Roger Nielsen statue. And there's the clip that went around, and it was mentioned by someone in the chat of them climbing the statue and putting the towel on. But for like 5 minutes before that, there are 3 guys just hucking them, trying desperately. And the whole crowd's like, oh, I guess every single one. And then eventually one guy climbs up, and of course there was the clip, but of course I was there. So I have my own clip, which I will put up here, which I'd like to start from the beginning, ideally. So here's my clip that I took from, I think you could probably hear me yelling in the background when he gets it up there. It was like, this is like 20 minutes after the game on a Sunday night. Like, it's like after 10 p.m. Everyone's sticking around. No one's in a rush to go home. So that was fantastic.
That is, by the way, so I've seen this many, many times, including your clip. That obviously, that's a statue. That's a strong statue. I'm sure it's made of bronze or metal, or some type of bronze metal. It wasn't gonna break, right? The guy wasn't gonna break.
I was a little worried about the stick part. Like, it's a little thin, But he went for it. I was like, I've seen this a dozen times, and the guy's going to fall.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna watch and see what happens. Frankly, there's a lot of people to catch him, I guess. But yeah, like that was just it was a whole different vibe.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really funny because I haven't seen the footage of people, the three guys trying to chuck it up, whatever, 12 feet in the air to try and get it. Yeah. 50 feet. I'll never look at that statue the same again. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, yeah, the fact they got that win, it was a fantastic night. The experience was great. Al Murdoch on another level last night. All the goal calls, like he was giving her on the goal calls. So I really liked that. Whole arena presentation was fantastic. Cutting to Kevin James and with Chad Kroger in front of him and all that stuff. It was a really well executed night across the board.
Yes.
And honestly, like, I'm so glad I went. And again, if money were no object, I would be going to every game if possible. But obviously that's money is an object, and
Yes.
I cannot spend,
of course,
$300 a ticket up to four times this round, and then whatever it is next round. And that would add up a little too quick. So
yes. Casey says this headline we don't want to see: Canucks fan tragically impaled by Roger's stick.
That would be tough.
And Justin said, because we trust Justin because he's got the inside scoop as an employee. He says only 45 people left at around 11 and the towel was gone.
Yeah, you say security might have, I think someone might have been like, "Oh, a free towel," jumped up and grabbed it or something, right? Like,
yeah, those are hard. Those are hard to
take
get.
The extra one. Yeah, that was it was a great night. I mean, looking forward, that it's obviously one game, right? There's a ways to go, but like I said, 65% of the time, team that wins game one wins the series. And it's big to not lose that game, right? If you lose, and game two's huge now, right? You lose game two, Nashville now has home ice advantage, right? That's a big thing to keep in mind. If you're the home team, you really want to win those first two games, keep your home ice advantage, try to steal one on the road and wrap things up quick. There's a lot of, again, don't want to get ahead of myself. The goal is to win this series. A lot of value to winning a series in 5 over 6, just from the travel. You go to game 6, that's a whole extra flight there and flight back. Obviously game 7 doesn't really matter because you're flying back anyways. So that's, you want to win it in as few games as possible. And, looking how some of these other series are going, it gets a little exciting, right? Like Canucks won game 1, and now you start to see, okay, well, if they get through this round, Edmonton was unreal tonight. Right. That's probably, I don't see a world where LA wins that series, to be honest.
Yes.
So yeah, you start to sort of see the path, and you're like, oh, well, Vegas beat Dallas tonight. I think we'd probably rather play Vegas over Dallas. Go Vegas. I hate Vegas. So it's like it's a weird balance where you start to root for things and are thinking, how does the path sort of work its way out if we really think this team has a chance.
And it's so funny. I love how you said that because I do the same thing. And it's one game in. Like all these series, they could change. But yeah, when you're sitting there and you're watching Mark Stone score 1 minute into the game.
Yeah, he looked pretty good out there. I know Tony X, who was like the guy who the Blues fan who like blew up in like 2017, 2018 on Twitter.
Yeah.
He tweeted out, like, he was like, if Mark Stone comes out and looks like anything other than an exhausted beer leaguer, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
And then, he looked phenomenal. He looked like he had been totally fine.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating, but it's the way the league works.
He has some explaining to do. I mean, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. What do you want to do? Do you want to do like 5 to 7 minutes quickly of just rapid fire questions? So
sure. I want to touch on a couple of the other things too. Sure. Like obviously Toronto Boston's going. That's a fun series. That I hate to say it. Go Bruins. Toronto obviously won this one tonight. That Islanders Carolina series. That game was a bloodbath today. Islanders blowing a 3-0 lead and losing 5-3. 2 goals in 9 seconds for the Hurricanes tonight to make it 3-3 and then 4-3. So they did the same thing the Canucks did last night, but with like a minute left or like 2 minutes left. So it's even worse. That's painful. And then the rest of the series, I mean, I don't care that much about other than the Western Conference ones.
Yeah, well, yeah, I really like. They didn't play today, but that's the Dallas Vegas first period was very similar to the Winnipeg Colorado first period from yesterday.
Yeah,
the
and I
multiple
didn't
goals,
watch any of that Winnipeg Colorado game,
Oh, it's
unfortunately, right? Because
crazy.
I was on the way in town. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a crazy one. Like anytime you're scoring 6 on Connor Hellebuck, you gotta win that game. But the Jets score 7 on 23 shots, which is it's a disaster.
Oh, it's
Colorado.
horrible. Yeah, it was horrible.
All right, to the people. Folks, get your questions in right now, I guess. If you have any for us, if you haven't already. I know there's probably a lot that we can scroll up a little bit and find. So yeah, I don't know if you've seen any yet, but I have not been as dialed in here.
Just a couple comments of other fan bases going at us for celebrating for winning one game. Let us have our fun.
Yeah, I saw, and it's all Predators fans. Which hey, you want to attack the color of our seats? You're right. You're absolutely right. They suck. And it was Oilers fans. Those are the only two fan bases coming at us on Twitter today, which is very bizarre. Like, you know, all the people, there was people, you know, in the comment sections of, you know, that video getting reposted of them climbing the statue and everything, being like, oh, wow, the most classless fans. And it's like every fan base is kind of the same. Like, it's all just a bunch of people. You know, oh, you're not allowed to have fun for the first time in 9 years after you had, you know, one of the worst management groups in your history that starved you of this for, you know, 8 years straight. No, we were excited. You know, I was 18 last time the Canucks were in the playoffs in Vancouver, right? Like there's people who are, you know, 23 years old, like in the workforce, graduated college, all this stuff. Last time the Canucks were in the playoffs, they were in grade 9. Like they might have been in middle school.
Yep.
Like that's crazy to think about.
Great point, Parker. I took my boys were at the game too, my 2 sons, and I put on my Instagram that the last time we were at a home playoff game, Sean was 14 and Jacob was 12.
Yeah, I think the last time I was at a home playoff game, I think I was 10. I think it might have been 07. Like I didn't go to any games in 2011 or 2012. I don't think. Like that's yeah.
Do you like Hoglander as maybe playing up as a second or down to a fourth liner? Where do you think he's better?
I think it really depends on which Hoglander you get. The Hoglander we got last night, more on the foreside. However, I think when Hoglander's on his game, and look, honestly, that's the Canucks' third line right now, I think. Right? I think you go Miller line 1 and you go Lindholm, Joshua Garland line 2. I mean, they're all going to play around the same amount of ice time each game, so it doesn't really matter. But I'd rather have Hoglander in that top 9 than the bottom 3. Just because I just don't want to see him play really with Bluger and Lafferty or PDG or whoever it ends up being.
Yeah, he's got enough offensive skill where he should be a top 9 player. You just got to put it all together. Yeah, I'm with you. Who scores first? I'm going Pettersson.
Oh, I like the call. Call. I'm going to go Brock Besser.
I love it. Do you want to see us take down the Bruins in the final this year or the Rangers?
I want to run into the worst team possible. Give me the Capitals.
To me, the Rangers, you know, 94, it's so removed from now. The Rangers are the better team, might even make the better series. I think, I don't know if we have a better chance against them though. We beat them. I would love to see us beat Boston. If they had to be these two teams.
I would rather, I think I'd rather play Boston just from a, like, which team do we have a slightly better shot against? Even though they are very good and having those two fantastic goaltenders. But obviously Shesterkin's no slouch. That would be very cathartic, but I think if they lost to Boston again, I think I would just shut down.
Gotcha. I'm watching game 3 on Friday from home. How about you? Are you going to the
Probably the same. I'll try to get it's an early game. It's 4:30.
Early Friday,
So that'll be, I was looking at going to that viewing party because I saw it before the Canucks even announced it. I saw it on Ticketmaster. And I was looking and they only had 5 sections for sale originally. And I was like, oh, is that, I don't want to go if it's only going to be 5 sections of people. And the next day it was the ends.
They did. Okay.
So if they're actually going to at least fill the lower bowl, they should sell the whole thing out. Which I guess it's tough 4:30 on a Friday. If it was going to be a sellout, yeah, I'd pay the $15 and go, like, just to be, in the environment with everybody. You get the towels going again, and
Yeah.
but I think I'll probably be at home for that one.
Yeah, that's cool. By the way, I'm not sure if you saw, I got to watch the last game of the regular season from Rogers Arena because I was a guest of someone who got treated to a premium event or whatever. So yeah, there I was sitting in Encore Club watching on the big screen. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's an interesting experience for sure.
Yeah, I saw that they lowered it too, right? So
Yeah,
I imagine that's probably what they're going to do. They're probably just going to sell lower bowl and then bring the screen down so it's perfect level.
Yeah. This year's Kessler, I don't want to say that there's going to be one. Yeah, I was just going to say Joshua's on his way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's Joshua or it's it's going to be Miller also. Like it's those two. They're going to be the driving forces of this team.
Yeah. Aquilini gets roasted many years ago when it was a 0-0 end of the season game against Calgary. He says, "Man, so tight, like a playoff game." And then he retweets
the Kings in 2018.
Oh, was it the Kings? I thought it was Flames. Okay, Kings.
Yeah, it was like November of 2018. This is 5.5 years ago, and he just tweets it out bar for bar.
Yeah,
man, so tight, almost like a playoff game.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
So good.
Right, let's end with this one. Dallas has been picked by many sports writers to win the Cup. They're the only team that lost at home. Yeah, which series will be an upset if we had to pick one?
I want, really, as a selfish Canucks fan, I want every other series to be an upset, right? Like I want to play the worst team possible because I don't care if we look back like, oh, they had such an easy road to the Cup. Okay.
Yeah.
Vegas obviously scares me, and they have the edge. They're now going to be favorites going forward because they'll have home ice advantage, and that barn goes crazy. I could see that being an upset. I mean, Toronto, Boston, whatever, I guess Toronto's slight underdogs. I could see them pulling it out, even though I wouldn't like that. I think LA's cooked. Washington's not going to do anything. Tampa, I guess, could theoretically as underdogs, but I don't really see that either. I think, honestly, the underdogs with the most potential are probably Vegas and probably Nashville.
Yeah. And I would throw Toronto. Yeah, I agree. By virtue of seeding, technically Toronto and Colorado are the underdogs as being the lower seed. So that Winnipeg Colorado one could also go either way. Although I think Winnipeg will pull it off.
Yeah, I just see those two as more coin flips. So I barely even see them as underdogs.
Correct.
In those
That's
series.
Fair.
Vegas a little more so, but
but Parker and I, we're not picking Washington over the Rangers or the Islanders over Carolina anytime soon.
No, the Capitals did not look good.
Okay, so when we get together next Monday, it will be after Game 4, correct? Yes,
correct.
Game 4 is on Sunday. Yeah.
So Game 2 goes tomorrow at 7. Game 3 goes Friday at 4:30. Game 4 goes Sunday at 2.
Yep, that's right.
Bright and early. And then I'll be live from San Diego Monday night. Let's do it.
That's right. Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to it. And the schedule makers did not work with you, right? There's no way you were gonna make Game 5 because it's so early. It's Tuesday.
It's too early. So I gotta sell those tickets. You want tickets to Game 5?
I'll talk to you offline. Okay.
Sounds good. Hopefully we just sweep them and then I get my money back.
That's the best.
And then on Monday we're talking about a series win.
There you go.
All right. Let's wrap it up there, folks. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you haven't subscribed already on the YouTube side, I know over half of you are watching on Twitter. So youtube.com/Canucks After Dark. You can subscribe to us there. Helps us out. Make sure you like the stream while you're here. 200 and something people in here, 40 likes. Get those up. If you missed any part of the show, it will be on your favorite podcast platform in a matter of 20 minutes or so. Just search Canucks After Dark, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. I think Google shut it down, so not that one. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate everyone who joined as members tonight. Everyone who, threw super chats out there. We really appreciate it. Folks, this is just fun. It's so fun to be talking about playoff hockey, especially a big win. So Clay, any parting words?
No, this is what we've been waiting for 3 years together, Parker, on doing the show. And you could tell we were excited to do this. We went basically an hour 5 straight without even looking up and taking a breath. So this is awesome. Let's hope the Canucks can continue their winning ways tomorrow for sure.
Absolutely. All right. And you can find me on Twitter, ParkersPucks, YouTube, ParkersPucks, Clay, same thing. Canuck Clay, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. All right, folks. We will see you, if not earlier, who knows, probably next Monday. So have a good night, and we will see you next time.